Hi, Queens. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Motivation. It is your big sister, auntie queen, Daysha Veronica up in here. As always, how was everybody's weekend? Please feel free to write it down in the comments. I would love to know what everybody's up to. My weekend was actually pretty chill. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the States, but when you don't have a formalized job, it really doesn't mean that much to you. Every day is a 3-day weekend and 4, 5, and 6-day weekend. Or every day is kind of a work day. So it really depends on your personality. But I was actually at BuzzFeed on Friday. I did the Capriccio Sangria taste test with Eli. So I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's this sangria that's being labeled the Four Loko of sangrias. And apparently, if you just drank a little bit of it, you'd be fucked. So we tried it. I can definitely confirm it is such. I had like the babiest of baby sips. Like when you watch the video, you'll see I only took like maybe half of an eighth, like a 16th worth of a cup. And I already could kind of feel it a little bit. Like it was crazy. So it's definitely not something to fuck with. But, I feel like if I got a bottle of that, it would last me for like a year, maybe 2 years, honestly, because I'm a lightweight. So I actually wouldn't need that much. Like that would just be my turnip juice. So you should definitely check out that video when it comes out. Eli and I also announced on Friday that we have a podcast that will be out this upcoming Thursday, May 31st, called Real Talk Love Therapy. So I hope you'll check that out when that drops. That's been a really fun project to work on. Other than that, this weekend was pretty chill. Me and Bay and his mom went to the Larchmont Farmers Market. And for those of you that aren't familiar with LA, Larchmont is this cute little bougie area, and they have a farmer's market every week. And there's this one stand, y'all. They sell this yogurt that has completely changed my life. And I'm not trying to be over dramatic with that, but obsessed doesn't even describe how I feel about this yogurt. And I honestly didn't even think that I could have feelings like this about yogurt, but they did it. They aroused it in me. And okay, please don't drag me, but it is $7 for a little tub. But like, I am someone that firmly believes if you have something that completely just rocks your world and you feel like it was worth every single dollar, every single cent that you laid down to have that, then as long as you prioritize other monetary commitments, get what makes you happy. And so this yogurt, it kills me every time, but it is so good and it is so worth it. And I'm cheap, y'all. I don't want to say I'm cheap. It's not that I'm cheap. I always just want to make sure that what I buy, the price is actually in relationship to the quality of the thing. And so for this, I definitely think that I would want to pay $5, but at the same time, like it's that good to where I'd be like, you know what? I'll give you the $2 extra like a tip, You earned your tip. So it's such good yogurt. If you ever have the opportunity to get it, I highly recommend it. It's just next level amazingness. So yes, please share with me how your weekend went in the comments. And now I will get into Monday Motivation. So if you're new to Monday Motivation, YAAASS queen. Ooh, excuse me. I had a little burp there. But I am so excited and happy that you're here. I'm going to give you an abridged version of what Monday Motivation is all about. But if you're more interested in learning about the reasoning behind it, I would listen to prior episodes where I go more in depth, some of the earlier episodes. But in a nutshell, Monday Motivation is my weekly vlog show in which I share a story from my life or an event going on in the world with the purpose of helping you to reimagine your relationship with Mondays. Right now, most people tend to have an anti-Monday attitude and are always wishing it was the weekend. But here at Yes Queen, we are done wishing it was the weekend because we are learning how to live in the present and find joy and self-fulfillment through every day of the week. So with that, this week's Monday Motivation is actually less of a story and is more about digging deeper into some bad habits of mine. So the title for this Monday Motivation is called Fake Fights with Real Consequences. So I don't know if anybody else loves to do this, but I love to get into fake fights in my head. And all right, let me not say love. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but it does happen often enough. And I don't like that I do it, but I also kind of feel like it just comes on suddenly. Like I'll just be daydreaming about random stuff, and then all of a sudden I just get wrapped up into this crazy negative daydream where I'm like trying to fight someone. And I mean, I guess it's a daydream, but it's just a negative one. And I think that for me, for many years, I didn't want to call it fake fighting because I'm naturally someone that likes to strategize a lot. And so in my head, I was like, oh no, I'm just trying to anticipate what the other side is going to say for my rebuttal in case we get into this argument one day. But you know, real talk, like I was fake fighting. And I think for me, I was doing it because I believed that it would relieve me of some tension that I was feeling about a particular person that I might have been going through it with. So for anyone that knows me, they know that I love reading and I love books. So the latest book that I've been trying to read is called The Charisma Myth. And it's all about how charisma is not something we're born with, but it's something that we can practice and develop within ourselves. So I was about 20 pages in, and I found this segment called What Your Mind Believes, Your Body Manifests. And within this segment, the author talks about how our minds actually can't tell fact from fiction. She said this is the reason why when we watch a horror movie, we can sometimes have real bodily reactions, like having your heart start pounding really fast, or even some of us might start sweating. Even though we are conscious of the fact that it's just a movie, our brain still can't help but trigger our body to react as if it were a real event. And so the book reads... Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so the book reads, because your brain cannot distinguish imagination from reality, imaginary situations cause your brain to send your body the same commands as it would for a real situation. What your mind believes, your body will manifest. So when we think about this information in relationship to building confidence, it reminds me of the phrase, seeing is believing, and how confidence really has to be something that you nurture from the inside out. However, when we think about this information in relationship to bad habits like creating fake fights in your head, this mind over body effect can be having an unconscious physical consequence on your body that leaves you feeling tired or anxious or emotionally drained, all of which will inhibit your ability to nurture your confidence. So this has also been called the nocebo effect. And the book also reads, in this case, the mind creates toxic consequences in the body in reaction to completely fictional causes. So when I read this and I started thinking about how I would feel physically after I would create these fake fights in my head, I realized that 1, I almost never felt any better. 2, I was often very exhausted afterwards. And 3, it honestly never really did much for me because I would be this wound up ball of negativity. And then because it was an imaginary fight, there would be no opportunity for me to release that energy. And then it would just sit stewing inside of me and affecting all of the other work that I had to do or my energy around others. So for this Monday motivation, I wanted to introduce some clarity questions / observations for y'all so that we can learn how to be mindful about the bad habits that might be unconsciously draining us and not making us feel any better. Who is blowing me up, okay? Hold on. Let me silence my shit. Sorry, y'all. So if you're new to Yes Queen, clarity is a huge guiding principle of the 4 Queen Commandment system that I created. So to me, clarity is at the foundation of developing a strong base of self-confidence. I believe that if you truly understand who you are, what you're about, what your intentions are, and what your purpose is, when people try to come at you with their negative energy and attacks on your character, you will have such a strong connection to yourself and such a grounded sense of self-confidence that their attacks won't mean anything to you. I'm someone that likes to describe themselves as an optorealist, which means that I always aim to see the brighter side of my situation, but I also like to have real talk with myself, and I don't like to be oblivious to potential hardships or areas of struggle. So I like to tell myself what I want and truly believe that I can have it, but also keep in mind that it's not going to be easy and that my ability to have it will largely depend on how badly I am willing to put in the work to get it and face those hardships that will come along. So to me, there's not good news or bad news. It's all just news. And it's up to me to decide how I'm going to let it affect me. So unfortunately, I just don't think it's possible for people to stop being negative. Or at least I know personally that it's not the fight that I'm willing to die on a hill for. When I thought about what my purpose could be and what I'd be willing to invest my time in, eradicating negativity just felt too utopian and not practical. Like, I just think there's too many, there's billions of us on this planet. There's no way that we're going to get all, however billion of us there are, to stop being negative to each other. I just don't think it's going to happen. And that's not saying I condone negativity, but it's me just saying that I, again, opt-a-realist, like to look at the realness in the situation. So for me personally, I wanted to focus more on how do we keep it moving in the face of negativity? How do I continue to thrive and be my best self authentically and unapologetically, despite the fact that there are people who will purposefully want to see me fall? So that is what the 4 Queen Commandments system is all about. It is about getting you to develop an unapologetically fierce mindset so that you can choose the life that you want to live, that most fulfills you, and that you feel confident and unapologetic about that choice. And if you want to learn more about the 4 Queen Commandments, I highly recommend that you check it out on the website. I will put a link to it in the YouTube description, but it goes into much more detail on there. But I also talk a lot about how when we think about this concept of unapologeticness, let me be clear, I am not here to teach y'all how to be unapologetically reckless. Don't get it twisted. I am not here to tell you that you can say, I don't give a fuck to anyone or anything, or that you shouldn't be held accountable for the things that you do and say. But with the unapologetically fierce mindset, I'm trying to teach you how to truly discover who you are and what drives you in life, to understand how to change your current energy and your actions so that you are more likely to make that choice a reality, and to teach you how to handle the pushback of those that will not be so accepting of your choices. The goal of what I'm trying to do is not going to be eradicating difficulties in your life, but giving you the tools and the mindset to not be persuaded by other people's negativity and to continue building a life that makes you happy and fulfilled and just unapologetically fierce. But just know that it's not going to stop people from coming for you. But if you allow yourself to have true clarity, my system should be able to get you to a place where that negativity doesn't completely destroy your sense of self. Because when I think about myself, I think my biggest problem was that it completely destroyed me. I didn't know how to come back from it. And again, negativity is not going anywhere. So this is about figuring out how do we allow you to feel like your feet are cemented in the ground when you have all this negativity hitting you in the face. How do you still maintain who you are and be proud of that and hold your head up unapologetically high through all of that negativity? Whew, God, I know that was a long tangent, but I figured a very important one. So yes, clarity is one of the most important commandments out of the 4 Queen Commandments, and it is so important to be unfiltered and disgustingly real with yourself. Like, toenail jam, disgustingly real with yourself if this system is going to work for you. So I don't know why I went to toenail jam. I just feel like, does anyone even have toenail jam? Like, I don't know if that's a thing, but that is the level of realness that you want to be. So if you are someone like me who tends to engage in this bad habit of creating fake fights in your head, for the next week, I would like you to be mindful about when it's happening and then just kind of think about the things that I'm going to propose to you. So I'd love for you to take note of what you're doing or where you're at so as to figure out if there's a certain person, place, or action that triggers you to get into this headspace. I want you to think about how your body feels either during or after you have one of your fake fight daydreams. Do you feel better or worse, tired, drained? What are your thoughts or feelings as you're going through it? I want you to think about who tends to be the people that you fake fight with. I would say for myself, I think that there are 2 people that I engage in fake fights with on a recurring basis. Otherwise, I know for me, a lot of my fake fights tend to come with anxiety and overthinking. So it's just kind of really random things that I think someone's going to challenge me on. It's not necessarily that I'm always getting into it, but it's just, I'm just having a quick moment of paranoia. So I would say that if you tend to fake fight with people that you see commonly and it's a reoccurring thing, that it might be beneficial for you to take some time to have a discussion about what's bothering you. So I know for me, at least, one of the people that I fake fight with, I don't see them that often, or at least often enough to want to talk to them about it. And then I also don't think I care enough to salvage the relationship. I think this person is really stubborn, and what happened between us just showed how much of a friendship between us was never really going to work anyway. But I also think that the reason why I continue to fake fight them is because I have a lot of PTSD from what happened between us. And I don't think that I felt like I could be honest about how I felt with what was going on. And I hate it, and I know it's energy that I need to direct and move over into other productive parts of my life. And I've actually been meaning to do this. So in the Charisma Myth, they also provide you with a bunch of activities. And one of the activities that they say is to write a letter to the person that hurt you from their voice, apologizing to you. And this is with the goal being that you find closure from the situation. Because really, when you think about it, for the most part, there are just some relationships where you're never going to get that sense of closure that satisfies you. But you can't let that energy consume you and stop you from living your best life. And so I think we all know as humans having closure is important, but what this activity seeks to do is to give you what you need so you can move on. Because the other hard part about human beings is that sometimes you could have what's supposed to be that closure talk and you still don't even feel like you have the closure. So I just think an important lesson in that is that you have to figure out what you can do for you to help you shut the book on this. It's not about whether or not the book is actually shut for both parties, but it's just making sure that you know how to shut the book for you so that you can take that energy and move it into another part of your life that will be productive for you. I would also think about, what do you fake fight about? I think that, at least for me, I tend to engage in fake fights because I feel like I'm being silenced. So I'm a pretty direct person. I really like to speak my mind, and if I have something to say, I'll say it. I try to walk that, because I feel like there's this, people hijack the word real to mean rude. And I'm like, no, realness and rudeness are two different things. Like, some people are just being flat out rude. And then there are other people that, you know, there's a way to be honest and real with someone that's not rude. I don't know any other way to say that, but that's how I feel. And so I feel like when I get into fake fights, it's because I've tried to be real with someone and they're just kind of not hearing it, not taking it, trying to silence what I'm trying to say because maybe they're not ready to face what I'm trying to say. But I also know that there are some people who fake fight with no intentions on talking to the person that they fake fight with. So I think it's important to really think about what it is that you like to fake fight about, and think about whether or not you're being silenced or if you're just uncomfortable. Because it's one thing if you're being silenced, it means that you're actively trying to communicate with that person and they just don't want to hear you. But if you're just uncomfortable, it means that you're avoiding confrontation and you're just kind of tolerating stuff and lying to yourself. And I want you to remember that in the unapologetic age of women, we are no longer tolerating shit and lying to ourselves. We are no longer afraid of confrontation. Because again, confrontation doesn't mean Real Housewives style blowout fights. It just means that we are stating our boundaries and sticking up for those boundaries when they are crossed. Let me say that again. It just means that we are stating our boundaries and sticking up for those boundaries when they are crossed. So it is not wrong to have boundaries, and it is not wrong to stick up for when those boundaries are crossed. That is personally when I feel like I'm in a confrontation, is when I feel like a boundary is crossed and it needs to be addressed. And again, I'm not trying to grab a chair. I'm not trying to grab nobody's weave. I'm just like, we need to talk. So if somebody crosses your clearly stated boundary and then wants to call you a bitch for it, why would you listen to that person? Why would you even want that person in your life? All we can do at the end of the day is be honest about who we are and our intentions. And if the other person doesn't like what we say, that is their problem. That has nothing to do with you. People will change when they feel good and ready to or inspired to do so. But if you don't feel like meeting them at their line, then they have to respect what you're trying to say and move on. But I would also say, because some people, they like to stick up for their boundaries and the other person's like, I'm out, and they're actually out. And then they're like, oh, no. Like, I would say that you also need to be prepared for them to move on as well. But yes, confrontation is not a bad thing. It's a healthy thing. It happens. I think reality TV and social media has definitely hyped up confrontation in a way that has now made people avoidant of it. But I think that it's only been to people's detriments, because as you can see with this topic of fake fights, whatever confrontation you avoid with others is confrontation that you will internalize yourself. So I'll say that again too. Whatever confrontation that you're trying to avoid with others is only going to be confrontation that you will internalize inside yourself. So the way that I see it, we might as well hash it out so that there is an exchange and hopefully a release of energy, because otherwise I'm just going to end up hashing it out later, but in my head, and there will be no release of energy, and I will be stuck stewing in all of that negative energy, which nobody wants, right? I certainly don't. So when we think about the key takeaways for this Monday motivation, I would say, remember that seeing is believing. So if you want to appear confident, or not even just appear, if you want to be confident, then you have to be confident. You have to believe that you have it in you to be confident and nurture that from the inside out. However, on the other side of that saying, you have to keep in mind that when you engage in negative mental activities like fake fights, it will have a huge toxic impact on your body that has the potential to inhibit your ability to develop your confidence. The next takeaway would be that you should find some time to do the clarity questions and observations and be mindful about where is the root of your desire to engage in fake fights. And then remember that confrontation is not bad. I swear to y'all, it's not a bad thing. It's part of the human experience. It's part of how humans interact. Again, there are billions of us on this planet. There's no way that we're all gonna know how to communicate and talk to all of us. And if we take it back to a few Monday motivations ago, I believe it was swim like a koi fish, fall like a baby. Everyone that you meet is going to hit a limit with you at some point, or you are going to hit a limit with them. It does not mean that you have to blow up at them or freak out. You just need to clearly remind them of your boundary. And should they decide to blow up at you for having boundaries, that is all the clarity that you need to know that this is not someone that you want in your life. And I will say for me, like one of the best things that I love about some of my closest friends is that we bicker like crazy. And I know that seems like what? Or I should say it looks like bickering on the outside to people. But what I love about this is that I always know where I stand with these people. I never have to second guess if they care about me, if they're mad at me, or if we have a problem, because I know that if there ever is a problem, which again is natural, problems always occur. I can't tell you a relationship that I've been in where problems didn't occur. But whenever there is a problem, they bring it up, we hash it out, we keep it moving. I remember my best friend in high school. So she had a roommate. We went to boarding school together. And I was hanging out in her room one day and we're just kind of talking like we do. And I think on the outside, it looks like bickering, right? And so we're having a conversation and her roommate just like starts staring at us really intensely. And we're just like, hey, like, you good? She went to us and she was like, oh my God, are you guys okay? And we're like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? And she's like, aren't you guys having a fight? And I was like, no, like, this is just how we talk. Like, I don't know. Like, but yeah, that's why I love my best friend and people like her. Like, if there's ever an issue, we just bring it up, we hash it out, we keep it moving. That simple. So I never have to second guess where I'm at in those relationships. And that's what I love, because I don't have time or the energy or the bandwidth to kind of be wondering if I've pissed you off. I think that that's ridiculous. So yeah, that's it for Monday Motivation today. If you liked what you listened to, please like, comment, share, subscribe to both my YouTube channel and the Yes Queen email list. And I will catch you guys next Monday. Have an amazing week, everyone. And don't forget to reimagine Monday. This is my new hashtag for Monday Motivation. My name is Daysha Veronica, and I love and appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.
So it's like we pretty much have to get into it. We gotta set the record straight before we continue on with this project, because we know it's gonna be a continued question in the comments. But this week's episode, why aren't Eli and Daysha dating?
Because Eli is a heifer. There you go. Episode
done. Thank you so much for listening to Real Talk Love Therapy. Next week we have Dr. Phil.